So mine shows in the middle of the screen. Like I create a test user and then it shows.
Mm-hmm.
So he says,
So he wanted the name.
so that
he wanted the name to show up after you've logged in.
yeah. So there. So now when I go to my homepage, it says welcome user. Like I was test, now it's user.
So now
So I'll show you.
if you log out and then you log back in with just anybody else that's in your database, he still wants it to show the user, welcome user, instead of whoever is just logging in.
Yeah, so that would be, they would be getting that from the cookie, right?
Right.
So that's where, like here in this case, it's the reason that it's showing that user is because it creates the cookie and it's reading that off the cookie.
Right.
So it'd be, so whoever's logged in, I'm guessing that in the enhancement it has us create a cookie, and then it would be pulling that information from the cookie.
Right. So
I guess I'm not following then. Say it again.
Maybe let me show you.
Okay.
Just because. Okay, so actually, I want to undo what I did here because I changed it. I had a concatenation in order to get the variable, but then I thought, well, I'll just create the variable in here rather than in the main controller, because right now it's not doing anything there, but I want it to show up here, if that makes sense. So, okay, this should be working here. All right. So what he wants to do is he wants us to create this new password. All right. Oh, whoops, wrong one. Dang it. Okay, but he wants, see how I logged in with Jason Bourne, but it says welcome Elsie.
So go back to your code then.
Well, he wants it like that. And that frustrates me because it's like, that's not, he's like, we'll fix it later. We'll fix it later. Oh. We're doing it this way this week. So he wants you, whoever registers, he wants that to be in there. Even if you go back, you log out, you go back and log in somebody else, he wants just to still be there. And he doesn't want the code in there this week because the tutor helped me because this was frustrating me. I was like, it says welcome Elsie, but I'm logged in as Jason. He said, oh, you just destroy the cookie. Oh.
He doesn't want us destroying a cookie yet?
No, not yet. So that was really confusing to me that he made sort of clear last night. Like, I said, if we want to, like, fix that, can we? And he was like, no.
No, for my grading purposes, just don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, you know, if
like, well, what if you?
So if I come in here and I'm in, so now it doesn't. Because I destroyed the cookie. Well, I need to pull that out, but because I destroyed, where did my link go? Dang it. Anyway, because I destroyed the cookie.
Yeah.
When I log in, there's no welcome. It's only when you register, and that's the way he wants it. So only when you register a new person will the cookie show up, and then that cookie is going to remain permanent no matter who logs in or out.
For now.
For now.
I mean, you wouldn't.
Okay.
Okay.
For now.
So then he'll have us change that in the future.
Yes.
Who was the tutor that helped you with that?
Cole.
Okay. Because like when I worked with Cole that other time, he was like, yeah, well, let's see, for this week or for this enhancement, he wants it to be like this. Like that will change later on, but this is how he wants it for this enhancement. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I just went off that. So I guess maybe, I don't know. I would assume he would have mentioned that.
Yeah.
So that's weird.
So this is how he set the cookie to destroy when you log out. You just
-1 for the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that in the reading that put me to sleep, but
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was brutal.
That chapter 9 it is dry reading. It's not as bad when project management study material is worse for me with that though.
Yeah.
I'm just like, let me save this as a PDF and have it read out loud to me in a British voice.
That would be so much better.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I got to do to try to help follow along. And then I need the ASL version, just so that way something's happening,
Yeah.
Usually my mind's like trying to pay attention to something.
Yeah. I have to eat something while I read.
Yeah, sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds is what will do that. It's the best at it.
Yes.
I found that out a long time ago. I was having to drive from San Diego to Salt Lake a couple times for a company I was working for, going back and forth. And I was having a hard time driving all that distance. And then I can't remember where it was, but they were like sunflower seeds. It'll keep you from falling asleep. Like gum, you can fall asleep chewing. Like people fall asleep all the time chewing gum because it's just the same repetitive one motion over and over and over. But sunflower seeds, it requires a little concentration because you have to crack the seed open.
Yeah.
Or crack the shell open, get the seed out, get rid of the shell. And so it requires just enough mental focus to where it keeps you mentally aware of your surroundings, but you won't fall asleep doing it. But it doesn't require too much of focus where you can't drive and pay attention or anything else like that. I was like, oh, okay. And since then, that's been my thing. So if I get like that with studying, like I remember back in the day when I lived in Logan, it was Red Bulls and NoDoz and sunflower seeds. I could for this company I worked for, they'd have me practice taking certification tests, and I would stay up all night reading the book. At least it was a hard copy of the book, not just a screen. And I'd just stay up drinking my or Red Bull and getting my sunflower seeds, and then I'd go in first thing in the morning and take the exam to see how it compared to the book, and then do a brain dump on it. Man, that was rough. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Sunflower seeds would keep me awake, so. Yeah. I'm not recommending Red Bull or caffeine. The sunflower seeds, low sodium. There you go.
Okay, so you guys saw that I lost my account link.
Yes.
Is it still not back?
Yeah, it's still not back. I don't know. And my site works where if I type this in.
All right. Well, go back to your header.
Okay.
It's in your header because you must have commented it out.
So this is this is me trying to copy what we did in the activity. And it's just if the cookie is set, we're going to give it a first name. The first name, here's the variable for it. So I just copied that. So it's like if we're logged in and if there's a cookie set, let's give it a filter. We're going to filter and sanitize it. Giving it a variable, then we're going to echo that. But we're also, if we're logged in and we've got a cookie, we also want to echo the log out link. Otherwise, if we're, for else, we want to echo the my account link.
All right, so go back to your page real quick. Just
Okay.
and what if you inspect? What if you view the cookie? Like, do you have DevTools?
Yeah.
So what if you delete that first cookie?
Then that'll sign me out.
Let's just see what happens, because the other one's for PHP. The other ones are over there. And then go back, close it, and refresh that page that you're on. Refresh that one.
Huh. It's there.
So like it had the cookie in there, so it wasn't showing it because that's how it's set. Like if you're signed in, don't show the My Account link.
But if I'm signed in.
Because it says if you're signed in, right.
But why wasn't it showing the log out also?
Okay. Let's see what's up with that action. Well, and then why also wasn't it showing the person's name? So what if you try? What if you save it, go back and try to sign in again?
Okay.
Let's see what happens.
So that goes
Okay,
away.
so the problem is that's not showing the log out.
So if I go back to what I had with the tutor. Oh, no, it's not letting me log out.
You might have to change the page
And then log out.
and then try deleting the cookie. Yeah.
Okay. So this is just the so like it's just pulling that's the same as that, and it's concatenating welcome and then the tags, and then it should also give me my logout link. Nothing. Where'd it go?
So go back over there.
Over to the code.
Yeah, there.
It was working, and I'm trying to think. The only thing I did was.
What if you just change that echo to say something else as a test real quick? So like comment out the second echo, that one. Yeah. And then just put something new. And comment out the cookie where it shows the welcome and then the cookie. But just put echo test or whatever.
It's not. Do I have it like? Does that?
If the session is logged in, what if you comment out the second if statement in there? Just curious.
Well, that because all of these
so
are.
That way it's just saying if it's logged in, echo test. Okay, what does that say?
Parse error.
Okay, go back.
So that needs to be out of there. If I'm gonna echo it.
You could just
So it does show up.
All right, so now go back and take out the echo test and put the and uncomment the other two echoes that you commented out, the cookie first name and the log out link.
Okay.
So yeah.
And then I guess I want to see if, oh,
And then I was thinking maybe that one too.
I don't know if that one will work.
And then, oh, take out the echo test and put an exit there, right?
An exit?
Put a, let me look at my if statement. You know, just a second.
I don't think you need an exit.
He had us do an exit in our, when we were first testing it, after we were registering. We'd include the view and then we would do an exit. Anyway, so save this and see what happens now if you go back and refresh. Okay, so go back and then undefined first name. Okay.
Login
So,
works, but I
so
think
the
it's,
logout's there
I think
and the welcome was there.
doesn't know what to do with that.
Okay, so that's because the line where we're bringing that in as a variable is commented out.
This one.
Yeah. So now save it and refresh it.
Oh, hold on.
Okay, go back.
Okay, I want, something's wrong with this, but it worked before. Okay.
That's like the most frustrating thing about these classes. And it's like something small.
Yeah.
You can break everything by just doing something on accident or changing one thing. And then you got to remember how you broke it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I guess I want to see if that works. No, it doesn't. Man. That doesn't work. Okay, I gotta fix my cookie.
So go back and view your cookie real quick. Like through the DevTools. Don't delete it. Let's view it. And what is it? Does it have an entry for first name? It doesn't show us.
You're saying, am I in the right spot? I'm not logged in anymore.
Oh, go ahead and log back in. Sorry.
Okay. So I have to create a new user in order for it to
No, it just, oh. Depends on what we're testing out.
Okay, let's just try this. I don't have any creative names. Something. Name. Hashtag. Okay.
Okay.
I don't remember what.
That's the worst. I've started using the same password for all of them.
I've been doing testing, one exclamation mark.
I've been doing password with a 0 and a $sign at the end.
There you go. Yeah.
Like,
I just
have to remember.
testing. I just use the same one. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm logged in. And I don't
Okay,
have
so
it
look at the cookie.
shown because I just didn't.
Let's,
Cookie.
well, let's look at the cookie and see if it has. Okay, so right there it says name is first name and the value is creative. All right. So go back over and let's look at the header. So right there it is first name, all lowercase, right? That's the,
Yeah. And it's just saying if the
so
cookie
comment that. Oh,
is set,
okay, do this.
we have to filter it.
Yeah, filter it, sanitize it,
And then we want to
then
echo it.
yeah, so it shows it. Okay. So
Is my
then,
echo wrong? Like, do I need single parentheses instead of double? And
well, so the ID is cookie first name, but that's just what you gave it for styling.
yeah, it's just inside that p tag.
Cookie. Okay, so here's the thing with $ cookie first name. All right, so go back over to your like where is it that it's storing that in then?
What do you mean?
So where is it setting the cookie? Where's the, so go back to your controller.
Yeah, so it's setting the cookie right here. So if they register, we've got our first name. It matches up with
Client
client
first name.
first name.
Is that supposed to be a Y on the time? One of them had to, it was weird on the thing. Never mind. Imagine that.
No, I see what you're saying. So after the register, so set cookie, okay.
So do I need to use do I need to use the same variable for here?
No, I'm not, okay, so what if, comment out the if cookie first, like that right there, comment that out. And just save it and refresh, and what does it show us?
It shows it.
Okay.
Why it's that?
And it's showing it's showing the one for the user that's logged in.
The one that I just registered.
Yeah. So I'm not sure why do you, because this is a header, so this is just it's just putting this code in on the other page, right? Because it's an include file. So I'm not sure if you need to do the if cookie first name, you know. I would need to explain to me why that needs to be in there. So right there it says if the session is logged in, then show the users, like filter the cookie first name and then sanitize that string, then echo welcome the username or the first name that's in the cookie, and then echo the link to the logout and say log out.
So
otherwise or else hit the my account button to log in. I'm thinking wherever, depends on where you have this block of code app would be depending upon whether you have this or not.
what?
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay, so this can pull from the cookie. How does it know to pull that from the cookie? Because of that and that.
So that's a good question. So I would guess it's actually because of the $ cookie first name.
So that's just a variable that I just made up for the first time right here.
Well, so go back to your controller.
Yeah, in the accounts index, he has us set up the cookie first name, like in the index PHP, like in the setup of the assignment, like that's also there.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes a difference, that it's here too, but.
I wonder if I commented out. I guess, how does this know, how do
They connect?
how do they connect? Because
So, I mean, it's getting the cookie first name. So this is the thing. So the session, I'm guessing, it's getting that first name right there. So the line above it says cookie first name equals whatever's being input for the first name, right?
Yes.
So it's assigning that first name as the cookie first name. So then when you echo cookie first name, it's the first name field inside of the cookie. So if you were also to say probably echo first name, it might say the same thing as cookie first name. So the cookie first name is just the sanitized version of the first name,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But we definitely
So right there,
echo.
you're saying cookie first name, the input is coming from the cookie, and the cookie has been created when it logged in, right? So the input's the cookie, and then take the first name value and sanitize it. And then the next line, echo cookie first name, like echo welcome, and then that, whatever that value is for first name. I mean, it kind of flows to me. I was just saying, so the first line, the if the session is logged in, then look at the input cookie for the value first name, sanitize it. Then the next line saying, well, yeah, to display welcome that value for first name.
Yeah.
And then the next line saying echo or display log out, and then have the link go to the log out action, like do the log out action in the controller.
Okay. So we set the cookie in the controller over here. What is this doing?
That is so when they're registering, it checks to see if that email address exists, and if it does, then don't allow it to register again.
But that doesn't have anything to do with email, so I'm confused.
Oh, well, so the, or okay, in this case, the name, if the username exists, right? Is that what this is saying?
Yeah.
So I guess I don't
It says
understand.
if the cookie exists.
This is in the main controller.
Yeah.
So I'm sure this is a really easy answer, and I'm just not seeing it. But so the only it's only helpful on the home page. Like this, we only see on the home page, so the home page can view the cookie. I'm not even telling it to display.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, sorry. This one I was wrong. So this one right here is just grabbing whatever value is in the first name field of a cookie, if there is one, and displaying it. He only has us doing that on the home page right now.
But it's not even displaying it, right? Because in order to display it, you have to echo it.
Mine is displaying without an echo on the home page.
Not in the, go down and click on home.php.
Okay.
Okay. And he said to add it here, but if you have it display next to your My Account button. But he said if you already have it in your header, then just put it in your header, which is what you're doing, which is what I've done. Put it in here.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
So that's what you were doing, but now you've gone on past that pass that exercise into, apparently he has us change that, because like if you, here, let me share my screen real quick,
Okay.
because you've moved on. So I'll show you where, because I haven't started the enhancement yet. I've just kind of finished this.
Okay.
So this is right here. I have the same thing inside of my main index, my main controller.
Yeah.
And inside of my header, he had us add in there this right here to echo welcome cookie first name.
And it can read that variable name because that's connected to our home page, which is connected to the controller. And that's how it can read that.
Yes.
That's why it's in scope.
Because that controller is, this index is used for any of the pages on the home page eventually, right?
Yeah.
So that's, he said, now you can, he said, don't add it. He said, don't add it to the other controllers right now. But I'm guessing that's because it's going to be different. So here on my home page, it shows that user. But if I go to my vehicle, it's not going to be there because I don't have it added into the vehicles controller. So that's part
He's
right
saying,
here.
He's saying don't add what? Don't add that line of code 30 and 31?
Yes. Yeah, I have to go through and check, but right now I've only got to the point where he's had to add us to the main controller, not
Right.
to the vehicles controller or the accounts controller.
So, okay, so if it's not in the other controllers, the other pages can't see it?
Right. Because they're getting all of this from their individual controllers.
Okay.
So right here on this one, we tell it to include these files, these connections, the functions, and things like that. But there's no switch. The only switch statement down here is for the whole page in the template that he had to do. So like the accounts controller, this is where it has all these other, like the register, you know, the name value pairs. So we have the register and the registration, and then like the sign in and sign up or whatever. So these are all these different ones. So what we're putting in here, any of the pages, any of the views that are called by these controllers, it has access to this information.
Okay.
So if we have variables in here like client email, it's available to any of the views that are called by the accounts controller.
Okay. So let me
Because
ask you-
it's like loading all of this information and then loading the view, right? So it's
Yeah.
kind of adding it all together to
Yeah.
create the view and such. So if it's not in here, it doesn't have access to it. Or if you have the require in here, you can add additional things in here that aren't added in here. So that's why it had us add things like the connections or the functions into its own, and they just call it. So instead of adding all those block of codes like the nav bar or the class list, instead of having us add all those codes in individually to all the views or to all the controllers, it had us add them. He had us all put them in the one functions file, and then we call the function file once from each of the controllers.
And
Since
so like
that's duplicate code, that's duplicate code that's used across all of them.
yeah.
Instead of duplicating the code in all of the controllers, we do it once
Right.
in a shared file like the functions.php, and then we call it from each of the controllers. But the rest of it, like all of the like all these case and switch statements, they're all kind of unique to the accounts, you know, and the same thing for the vehicles. It's all of these are unique, so that's why he had us move like the nav list out, because it was kind of the same for all of them, that nav bar. So he had us move it into the functions. So I'm not sure if that helped at all.
It does. It does. But like, okay, so my header that has my account link,
Okay,
the
you share
logo
again.
picture, You want me to share? Is that what you said?
Yeah, go ahead and share again.
So my header that has the logo, the welcome, the logout, or the my account link.
Yeah.
And I want like every single page to be able to see that.
Okay.
It can see that.
And right now it go ahead.
Like I'm trying to understand. So I know that the main controller can see it.
Yes.
But I don't remember how because
well, right there we have it echoing. So see that block of code 24 through 26?
Yeah.
Copy that. Copy that. And then, so what's a view where it's not working? Where it's not displaying it. So go to like
vehicle management.
Okay. So go open up your browser and view and go to vehicles real quick.
Okay. Oh, I can't get there because I'm not logged in as the user or the administrator.
Oh, okay. You've put that in place.
Okay. So it is showing it.
Okay. So go back over to your vehicles controller and let's look at the code edit real quick.
Okay. So I'm in my vehicles controller.
Okay,
I guess I'm just
scroll down.
Mommy, I have a stinky diaper.
Okay, just a minute, please.
Mommy,
How far down? What do you want?
No, so let's see here. All right, scroll back up.
my skywalker's all gone.
Okay.
Skywalker.
So I think you've set that in your header, and so
Yeah.
that will carry over to all of the pages now.
So how does it do that? I feel like I knew this at one point, but now I'm not understanding how it knows.
So go back.
Because of one of these.
So go back to your header. So up at the top it says, right here you have create a session, right?
Yeah.
All right, so there it's creating a session. So now go over to your header, .php. All right, so up at the top, it starts, if a session is logged in, then it creates a variable, cookie first name, and then it views the cookie information. Input comes from the cookie, and look for a field called first name. So where is it creating the cookie at? So the cookie is getting created in one of the controllers.
It's right here in the accounts controller.
Okay. So there you have it creating a cookie, and then it has client first name.
I guess I'm just
Or
like,
first name right there.
how does this header connect?
Well, the header's connected to, you have it included in all of your views, right?
Just right here?
Yeah, so it's all of your views that call the header are going to have
I'm
that
gonna see that.
up at the top. Right. It's either going to show that user or, and with the logout, or show the my account button.
Okay, so like this the vehicle management page, for example,
Yeah.
the pathway for, okay, so we're logged in and we want all of this to show, and we want the logout
Yeah.
to show. We're viewing this page, it's calling
Yep.
that, which goes to here, which goes to the vehicle's index page, which can't see the cookie. So where it's set, or does it go through the session that jumps us over to here and the
Well, so the cookie isn't in here. The cookie is created in the browser that is accessing the site, right? So when it creates the cookie, that doesn't create anything on the website. It's creating it on the browser of the user. And it stores it in a text file on the computer that the user is accessing the website from. And it stores in that file the information you're telling it to store. And so back on that controller, you're telling it what to store in that cookie, in that file on that user's computer. And so this other places like in the header, it's saying, hey, if there's a cookie, grab this information from the cookie and use it in this manner. If there's no cookie, then display the My Account button to take them to the sign-in page.
I guess it just goes through all the pages, all the controllers.
Well, it's not going to go through all the controllers. It just depends on which. I mean, the header is used on all of your views, right?
Yeah.
So then that information about what's included in the header is going to be available for all of the views, whether it's vehicle management, user management,
Right.
or just like the home page or any of the other pages we'll develop there, right? And then the actual cookie that has the information stored in it is nowhere in here. It's in the browser of the user that's connecting to the page. And your server, your controller, is telling it well, in this case, the header is telling it, the browser, to get the information that it wants, not from your computer or like from the server, but from the client's computer, from the cookie that's stored on the client's computer.
So the cookie doesn't ever go to the server.
No, the cookie's not on the server. Yeah, the cookie's on the client computer, and the server asks for information from it, and then gets the information back, and then uses that information to authenticate or keep the session going for the user. So that way, every time you go to a new page, it remembers who you are. So it doesn't ask you to log in every single time, or it remembers who you are as you're browsing across the different pages. So right now, that's important just for being able to log in and manage the account. If you had cookies turned off, the first time you log in, as soon as you click to another page, it would lose that cookie and it wouldn't remember you.
Yeah.
So you might be able to, like, if you edit the cookie, like if you go back to the page and just look at it as a user, and then edit the DevTools view cookie, it actually gives us an option to right there edit that cookie.
Yeah.
So that second, edit that one.
So you can't edit the cookie on a local host domain. If we were doing a server someplace else, we could.
All right. But if you could edit that here, you could change it from creative to something else. And then when you went back and refreshed that page, you would probably change it from creative to test or whatever you put in there just for that, because it's not pulling that information from the database. It's pulling that first name from the cookie that's stored on the user's computer.
Okay. And that's why it doesn't necessarily need to be like, I mean, underscore cookie is global, but that's why my variable for cookie doesn't have to be linked throughout my different controllers, because it's not going to the database. It's just going to the browser.
Yeah, I don't think it passes along in between the controllers per se. Each view is grabbing that from the user's computer. And as long as that cookie is not destroyed, it's valid information. But once that cookie gets destroyed, it doesn't have that information anymore.
Okay.
So that's one thing that helps, I guess, with managing your session as you go along to keep you that you're signed in. It keeps knowing that who your first name is or whatever information you have set in that cookie. So in this case, we're going to be using it to say if it's specific people in the database, then they're authenticated to do certain actions like add accounts or not add accounts, but like add vehicles and such, right? That's why I guess right now we have to manually go to vehicles. We can't. And then that's going to be restricted to certain accounts that have certain access levels that we give it.
Yeah.
So when the user logs in, it's going to be passing on that information that's stored in the session cookie to the controller, which might check it against the database to see what kind of access they have and things like that. But it's not modifying the database when you're doing that. It's just doing a query, just checking that user has that access to be able to do whatever. But as soon as that session, as soon as that cookie is destroyed, that's gone. So that way someone can log out and you can log back in with a different user and it'll create a new cookie for that account or for that session and then give it whatever access it has.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess I'm not doing a great job explaining it.
Well, I think it does make sense. I think I'm getting hung up on the fact that like you have to establish variables, and these variables you can only see in this one page. And so when we create this variable over here, I'm like, how does this know to connect to another page that it's not like within the scope? But if it's just not, if it can find it, great. I just want to know like what the pathway is, or if there's no pathway because it's not going to the server.
Well, I mean, right here you're creating this variable, and it's here in this header, and this header is something that's used on all the views.
It is. I'm just like, how does it know that we've set a cookie in another page because we set it in another page and the two aren't linked?
Well, so I'm not sure that it does. It just is saying, think of almost, I guess, go back to that where that was, the header. So you see where the input, it's a filter input, right?
Yeah.
So almost like if you put a form there where someone has to enter in a username.
Yeah.
But instead of it being a field where someone types, the input type is a cookie.
Yeah.
And so it's looking for a session for this website. And if there's a cookie in there, then look in there for a value called first name and sanitize it, and then store whatever's in that value as cookie first name. So it doesn't matter what any of the other pages are. It just wants to do that and then saves that. And then it says, if that happens, say welcome, show the first name.
Right.
But if that information's there, if there's no cookie, then that's why it shows the my account button, because there's no cookie, and so there's nothing input into the cookie first name field, so it's blank, and then it's gone. Oh.
So it's just like this part right here, it's gonna start searching everywhere to look for the set cookie.
I'm not sure it's searching any of these. It's searching your computer. It just how like the input form would, if you're have it would be waiting for a user to type into a box, and then you would have information like on an input get.
Okay.
But here, it's this information, a cookie, I guess the input cookie is telling it where to look, and where to look is not on your site, but on the user's computer in a cookie.
Because like when you have to like clear your cache and cookies to like get your browser to run better, you're getting rid of that stored information that's on your browser.
You know, so like Amazon uses the cookies that has your information on it. So that way, every time you go to Amazon.com on your computer, it remembers who you are, right? It doesn't, it remembers who you are, and it may say your name. It may ask you to log back in, but it will still remember that first name value, for example.
Okay.
So, but once you delete your cookies and you go back, it has no idea who you are.
Yeah.
And so it's asking you to sign in again. It doesn't say welcome, you know, Cassie or anything like that. It, you know, it, because you've deleted that cookie, so it's lost that information. And so that's a text file stored on the user's computer, you know, that's telling that information. And so that input cookie is just saying, hey, look on the computer, on the browser that's connecting, look for a text file in there, wherever cookies are stored, for one for our website. If there is one, grab this value out of it.
Got it. That makes sense. I got it. Okay. We're not looking on the server. We're looking on their browser.
Yeah, so that input cookie, so I would maybe do this. I mean, I'm sure there's probably like a YouTube video if someone has a filtered input and then input cookie that probably explains that better and like does a live demonstration better.
Okay. Well, I do get it now.
Okay.
We're not looking through my files. We're looking on the user's computer.
Yeah. So I think that's what that input cookie is telling it where to get that information from, right?
Yeah.
So the filter input saying, all right, we got some input coming in. The input type, so in this case, input cookie is telling it where to look for that information. And then the next variable is telling it what the name to look for is. So in this case, looking for the value first name. And then the next option is telling it to, well, sanitize it, but you don't have to have that sanitized string on it. You know, you can take that off. That's not required on there. You just have to have the requirement for the filter inputs where the input type and the value name. And that's it. So in this case, input type is input cookie, and then the value name is first name.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
Okay. Hopefully
Sorry.
that helps. No, this is very helpful for me too, because you know how they say, you know, when you have to try to explain how something works to someone, you have to make it start clicking for yourself.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I like the see one, do one, teach one, the Soto method. I think it's a valuable way of learning. Like you see someone do it, then you do it yourself, and then you have to teach someone how to do it.
Yeah, totally.
Anyway.
Okay. I feel so much better about this. I can get what everything's doing and where it's going and how it's calling it. I'm not calling it, and it just makes so much more sense.
You just said calling and you got the phone.
She takes my old high school graphing calculator and sticks it to her ear.
Oh, nice.
My kids have no idea how to talk on the phone if it's not on speakerphone.
Right? My kids too.
They're 8 years old. They're like, hello, hello.
And I'm like, put it on your ear.
Like, what do you mean?
Right?
They're like, hello.
Nobody wants to hear your whole conversation. Put it.
Let's see.
That's funny. Okay.
Cookie.
Did you guys have anything else that you wanted to go over?
Well, I'm not sure I have anything yet, but I've realized from my problem on Friday was I can't wait till too late on Friday, because if I do, there's no
help
tutor available.
Yes.
Right.
Like they ended earlier on Friday and they're not available on Saturdays, so I'm like, oh man.
Yes. So I had something pop up while I was listening to you guys talk. I went to go to my home my view.home.php to see if something would pop up. Well, let me show you. Maybe it's probably simple, but my brain's like, why is it not showing what it's supposed to show? So when I'm here, I'm actually on add classification, just like straight on that up here. It's like, nope, it's gone. But if I go here, it's here. The navigation is there, but here it's like, no, I don't like what you have there.
Well, we would never call it this way though, right?
It's
know,
true,
you
but
don't
it
ever-
should show up, right?
Well, okay, so let's go to add classification, line 19. And what does it say?
Where am I? My brain.
Not any of those.
Not any of those.
It's not
I know.
this one either.
I know. I'm like,
That one, there
my
you go, that
brain.
one. No, I hear you. 19.
Yeah, it doesn't like
Echo
this.
nav list.
Okay, so go to your controller.
It's here.
Yeah, it is.
And it sees it it sees it here, but it doesn't see it directly from there. I don't know if it
All right.
matters because we don't go there, but
Let me try it myself and see what happens. So this is /view/ which one are you doing?
add classification.php.
Mine does the same thing.
Okay.
What about you, Cassie?
Um,
And I noticed that too. I was like, oh man, and then I was trying to fix it, but some of it's like the path doesn't work properly when you try to go specifically to a page.
Yeah.
I think, but that's part of it that is expected because I think the paths aren't the same when
Okay.
you're in the same because it's going through the path of the controller versus the path of the view folder.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure like I hadn't broken something. I was like, wait a minute. Because
Do this. Go back to so here. So go into the nav list. Okay. Go into the functions. Yeah. So there you can see here the PHP motor /index. And then pulling this information. It's something to do with I think pass because mine was the same error, just a different line.
okay. It's probably not
I
important,
had-
but I went there and I was like, wait a minute, it's broken. So
No, I think that's the same for any of them. Any view that I didn't do it on this page. I did it when I was trying to view my 500.php page. Because I was testing out and I was like, and I'm like, oh, it's not showing my header at all on there. I'm like, oh, wait, but I don't want it to on that page because it can't on that page because
okay.
if it shows the 500.php, it means it's not able to connect to the database. If it's not able to connect to the database, of course it can't show my nav bar because my nav bar is dynamically built from information from my database.
Okay.
So anyways,
Awesome.
I think this is expected behavior. It's not supposed to work that way.
Okay, good. I was just
Do you
worried that
get
I
the
had
same
done something.
thing? Does Cassie get the same thing?
I can't get it to do what I can't get it to go because I don't know. I've got something.
Okay, well, just try /view/ and then any of the like vehicle man or anything like that.
It's kicking me out because it's saying I'm not like logged in because those are the two pages that you're supposed to.
What about home? Because home will do it the same. Home does the same thing. It's
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so yeah, my home doesn't work. Like
okay. All right, then I won't worry
yeah,
about
like
it.
scroll down. Like none of the images on my homepage, all mine's broken, but that's because of the paths on stuff. Because it's not supposed to. Like my nav bar doesn't work on my homepage, and most of my images are broken when I go to it this way through the view. But my understanding is that's expected behavior. You're not supposed to access it. You're only supposed to be able to
All right.
access. You're only supposed to access it through the controllers.
Yeah, which is how I've been doing it. So I haven't been looking at these other ones. And then when, anyway, you guys went to home, I was like, wait a minute, something's broken. But we're good.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah, I think mine's the same. My homepage does the same. I can't get my other pages to do that because, so this week you're supposed to kick them out if they're not logged in
Yeah.
as the user level 3. But I was logged in as user level 3 and it was still kicking me out. But it doesn't when I go through the controller.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense or if that is helpful.
does. It does. Awesome. Okay. Then I won't worry about it.
I'm sure it will be useful, but it's not yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not to the point where if I understand what you're saying, but I think when I get to a point, I'm like, oh, that's what that meant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, there was one other thing that tripped me up, and I don't know if you guys will have this problem or not, but I'll share it with you really quick.
You just need to have friends come visit more often because you get all done way fast, and really helpful.
My house gets clean too when friends come visit.
Exactly. Oh man, that's like here too.
It
It's like same thing. Valentine's. My wife's like, Valentine's, man, you had everything done. The house was clean. You know,
Right?
by Friday morning, I was done with all my classes for the week. I'm like, yeah, but
Almost died.
I
in the
was like
process.
unavailable every night the rest of the week though.
Yeah. Okay, so he has us create and start a session on all of the controllers.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
But for some reason, this controller didn't like it. It was giving me an error up at the top regarding this line. And so Cole, the tutor, just had me say, well, this is kind of a roundabout way of doing it, but it's the same thing. So it's just saying if it's not started, go ahead and start a session. But I think it's because we had already started one here and we'd started one there, and he's like, it's supposed to just continue the session, but when I took it off,
Nice.
I love how he
love
knows
that.
those things that like just make it work. Like when he was trying to fix my file pass on that other one, that I'm like, where does it say that anywhere?
right.
Because Cassie and I were in the same tutor session, and he was like, "Well, do this, this, and this," because my
Yeah.
I can't even remember what was showing up, but it wasn't working. And he was like, "Oh, well, this is it. You shouldn't have to do this, but this is what we're gonna do to fix it."
That was like mine that I needed his help on, and it was like concatenation. But I never would have, because I think it was Cassie. We spent time, we went over looking at yours versus mine. And I'm like, it's identical. And then he's like, yeah, well, okay, you're gonna need to concatenate this. I'm like, but why? He's like, I don't know. It was like, it's like it needs it or it doesn't. And at this point, for what you need for this class, that's not super important. It's just, we just need to figure out a way to get it working. But I guess in the real world at a company, if you were doing this for, you would probably want to figure out somewhere else something is done in a way that's causing it to want it to be done this way. So you may want to figure that out so that way you can make it more uniform everywhere, type of thing. But for this, he's like, what's important is that it works, not necessarily how it's like what you had to do to get it to work.
That was like, Cassie, you had to delete that one equal sign, and all of a sudden it worked for you.
Yeah.
And that was like with mine. He's like, all right, so you need to make this one a single quote, this one a double quote, and then you need to put a dot here and here. And I'm like, okay. And he uses the little red arrows, like click, click, click. I'm like, how are you doing this? What are you using? Because this is great. I mean,
yeah.
But I'm not sure he's been doing, I think, this class for some years. So I think that's part of it. It's also, I mean, he's knowledgeable, but also like these specific assignments that we're working on, he's familiar with. So he's able to help us narrow down where the problems are.
Yeah.
Because if it's just coming in, like if we're like, hey, I build websites on the side, can you help me with this? I don't think he would be as fast being able to find the problems because it's all new code to him, right? So he would have to analyze all of it line by line. But since this is websites from who knows how many hundreds of people, the same site, he's like, okay, well, these are where the problems are with this when this happens.
Yeah.
and such. So it's a lot quicker than if it was just helping troubleshoot from scratch on a site
Yeah.
you've never seen before. But it's very helpful for me because he can just say, okay, this is this. I'm like, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't want to, I've already spent the 3 hours trying to do this on my own because it's new to me. I
Right.
want someone who's done this a ton with this and could say this. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Help.
And he can see that thing, that one thing you've missed that you've been staring at for 3 hours. He's like,
Yeah.
oh wait, it's right there.
Exactly. Like this happens to be case sensitive. Okay, right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or it was like that when I had that problem last week. I was looking, it's because I had PHO motors instead of PHP
That's
motors.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And I'm like, I'm not
I
sure
don't
how
know.
that carried apart. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is one of those ones you may need to do it this way or not.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
just wanted to share with you one of my.
Well, it makes me wonder if we should do it this way on all of them.
I mean, it's like, well, if we've started a session in here, why do you have to set it in here and here? But it should just access the session and
I mean, I could see why you would do it this way every time. Basically, if there's a session, keep going. If not, start one.
right.
And I could see you would have that for every controller to say, hey, if there's a session, keep going. If not, start one. Except maybe the main controller,
Right.
then you don't need it that way. Or
the accounts controller
wherever it is that you actually log in at. Yeah. And then you would have that one started, but everywhere else is.
Yeah.
But then again, if you're just navigating around or something, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know best practices with anything like this. But
I don't either.
right now, best practice is get it to work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get it turned
Make it
in.
look like his video, and as long as it runs, then we're
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same thing last week. I could not figure out. I spent all this time trying to figure out how to make the car classification required on the client side validation, right?
yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not seeing anywhere how to do this because it automatically goes down and starts saying make required. I'm like, but I need the classification required. But then I looked at his video, and his video, he changed it around, so it's no longer a drop down like that. It has a span of classification or an ID of classification, and then below it, a drop down box, and then it automatically defaults just to the first entry in the box. So that way, no matter what you choose, there's always something chosen. Right? Which is different than how we had first done it. When we had first started, when we had first created, we said, choose a car classification, and you drop it down, and then that one was grayed out, so you couldn't select it, and you had to choose one of the other ones. So I changed mine to be like his. I got rid of that option and then just made it where it defaulted to the first entry, to the first car classification in there, because that's how he showed how he did it in the video. And he didn't, I mean, I got all the points for the enhancement. He didn't knock me for anything. I was like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. I didn't change my select to list, and I didn't get any docked either. So I don't know.
So he may not have docked us for that because it
Yeah.
never was addressed. You
Yeah,
know?
he never-
It is-
It seemed like he cared one way or the other how that was
okay.
set up.
I was like, well, at least if I make mine work the way his does in his demo video, at least I got an argument against it. Like, hey, well, that's how he showed it.
Yeah, exactly. True.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. I'm
Okay.
gonna try to keep going on this and try to get as much done as I can before Friday, so that way I can reach out for help if I need it.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you feel the rest of it looks like for you, Cassie?
It's not bad. It's really not bad, especially now that like just basic concepts like I'm understanding.
hmm
And I mean that's kind of every week is like if you understand the concepts, then there's just little things that you want to make sure that you don't
Like
commit.
earlier, I wasted so much time on mine because on the one set up to where it says welcome and then put the first name, the value for the first name during the setup, and it's like, and then use CSS to style it so it's to the left of my account. I'm like, oh man, because I'm using Flexbox, and so when by default it just puts it in the middle, because now I have 3 items, so it's evenly spacing them out, and I have my first item all the way on the left and my last item all the way on the right. So this one's centering it, but he wants it right just to the left of it. And so I was just like hung up. I'm like trying to style it, and then I watch his video, and his is just in the middle. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. man.
I'm like, I'm not worried about that. Maybe
Yeah.
at the end, it's going to be a lot of that styling, type of thing.
Yeah.
'Cause it was like that with with another class. We had to build a temple, like a hotel website, and we had to build a hotel website and had to have all these pages, and one of the last week was, okay, now to do all this styling, we had weekly assignments like this, but then at the end it was like, okay, now do all this styling and make it look like this and stuff like that. It was very, anyways, I just don't know if this is going to happen in our class, because this website is not nearly as like nice looking as the website I made for that class.
Right. It's
It
pretty.
was like a lot of CSS styling, very pretty. And this one is like checkerboard background with bad graphics,
Yeah.
and no concern about fonts. Like that one, we had to import all these fonts,
Oh, yeah.
from Google, and all
Yeah.
these different things. This one's like, oh, we don't care about any of that.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, that's okay, because I want to, like, how building this dynamic website. I'm like, this is really cool. Like, we never talked about any of that, right? And so
Yeah.
being able to build a dynamic website like this, I'm like, I've appreciated learning,
Sure.
information.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how it goes, because I was looking at the modules and it only shows through like week 10
I know.
and then it stops. And I'm like,
I'm like,
what's
there's
coming
14
after?
weeks, though. Yeah. That's what I've wondered too.
I mean, I'm assuming that's the final project, but I'm surprised there's no module for each of those available just to look at even at this point. So
Yeah.
I'm interested.
I've seen the same thing. I was like, I don't know what that means, because I've got some personal stuff I'm trying to plan out in my life, and so I'm just like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
I've heard it's kind of a doozy of a final project. That's what I've heard.
You hear
I
that
could
from like
imagine.
Cole or something?
No, it was from a guy who was in this class. Last semester he was in this class, and then my database class. So we had the database class together, and he said he was in this class also. We were studying for the final, and he said, yeah, I just finished this doozy of a final project for this class. And I was like, oh man, that's what I got next semester. And so he was just telling me
Yeah.
about it, but I don't think he gave me any specific details, but I don't know if it's
Okay.
like, okay, now you know how to create a website. I want you to do a whole new one. Go. I don't know.
Oh, geez.
It's probably something like
I don't
that.
know.
It's because we've got like we have 3 weeks after week 10, and then but there's no like individual assignments going on, and at least they're not available to look at yet. So
Yeah.
I would
Nothing past week-
imagine,
there's no hint of anything past week 10.
which
he's
is weird. I've
hiding it
never
from
had a
us.
class. I've never had a class that didn't show me like all the weeks. So I'm nervous.
Yeah.
He's hiding it from us.
He
Yeah.
doesn't want us to have
Things
panic
like
attack too early,
Yeah, exactly. All right.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thanks for the help.
help.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much.